Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. Yesterday we have started the chapter local government. Okay, and under this chapter we have discussed some subtopics like importance of local government, what is the requirement, what is the need of local government, why do we need local government, and in this regard we have seen that two examples of real life examples of Gram Panchayat. One was of Sehor Gram Panchayat, which falls in Madhya Pradesh, and the other was Vengai Vasal Gram Panchayat, which is in the Tamil Nadu. And through these two examples, we have seen that the important role played by the local bodies or the important role played by the Gram Panchayats. And in this, when we were discussing the second example, Vengai Vasal Village Panchayat, in that we have seen that how the proactive Sarpanch and the members of the Gram Panchayat uh, protected the interest of the villagers. Through their effort, they were able to retain the uh, land of the village. So this proves that local government is very much important for the protection of local interest. So what is the first uh, need? What is the first importance of local government? That it protects the local interest of the people. And the second one is we can see that through local government what happens that it is very easy for the people to access the local government and local administration. If we compare the situation with the state government and the central government, we find that local government is people friendly. It is very much easy for the people to approach the local authorities, and in this way, this because of this people friendly nature of local government, what happens that the local government becomes more effective in solving the problems of the people. Not only it is more effective in solving the problems of the people, but the cost which is involved in solving these problems is also very less if we approach the local bodies. So these are the two importance of local government. The first is it protects the interest of the people. It protects the interest of the local people, and then the second one is it is people friendly and effective. Other than these two important roles which is played by the local government, the third important aspect of importance of local government is that these local bodies make the democracy real and meaningful. So it makes democracy real and meaningful. And how local bodies makes democracy real? Because through local bodies, what is ensured through local bodies, the participation of the people is involved. It makes democracy real and meaningful because through local bodies, the participation of the people is ensured. As we have seen in the first example of Sehor Gram Panchayat, that under the leadership of the Sarpanch Geeta Rathore, she mobilized the whole villagers towards the developmental activities. And in this regard, we see that in at this level there is a participation of common people, which is the most important requirement of democracy. Democracy is the rule of people, and this rule of people can be actualized. This objective of rule of people can be actualized only through local government, and not only participation, it also ensures accountability. So we have seen all these things, and then we have discussed the history of local bodies in India. And in this regard, we have seen the most important name, which is the name of Lord Ripon, who took initiatives in starting the local government bodies in India. And who was this Lord Ripon? Lord Ripon was the Viceroy of India at that time. And the year was 1882 when he started the local bodies at that time. And at that time, these local bodies were called local boards. And this was the time when India was, our people, not India, the common people under the leadership of Congress was involved in the uh, freedom movement. And in this freedom movement, one of the most important demand of the Congress party was to make the local bodies more powerful and more effective. And subsequently, we have seen that through the Act of 1999, the Act of 1999 was uh, Government of India Act of 1919. Through this act, what happened that the local bodies were made more, they were given some powers, and gram panchayats were set up, they were established. And then again in 1935, Government of India Act was passed, and through this act also this process was continued. The process of uh, giving more powers to the local bodies was continued. And in this regard, we have discussed about the views of Mahatma Gandhi also. Gandhi was very much, he was very much supportive of the decentralization of the power. And it was his opinion that the government powers should not be concentrated at one place. It should be decentralized. The economic power, the political power, it all should be decentralized, and it must reach to the at the bottom level. Then only democracy and independence of the country can be actualized. And in this background, what happened that in 1946, our Constituent Assembly was established, and the process of making of constitution was started. And we all know that on 26 November 1949, we have adopted the constitution, and it was implemented in on 26 January 1950. So in through the constitution, a proper place was given to local government bodies. Uh, given under the state administration, state government, not administration, but uh, the local government bodies were kept under the state government. And in our directive principles of state policy, we see that this aim of decentralization of power and establishment of Gram Panchayat was one of the most important goal of the state. But in this regard, what is very much important for us to know that in our constitution, what happened that a proper place was not given to local bodies. There was a division of power. We have adopted federalism, as we have studied in the previous chapter. We have adopted federalism, and under this federalism, there was only two levels of government. That is the one at the center level and the other at the state level. Just two levels of government was there. local government was not mentioned in the constitution. They were just kept under the state government, and because of this, what happened? So we can say the first reason for not giving constitutional status to local government bodies was that it was considered that giving constitutional status to these bodies will will become a threat to the unity and integrity of the country. So it was considered as a threat to unity and integrity of the country. And the second reason for not giving this local government bodies a constitutional status was the view was expressed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He was of the opinion that the rural society is full of factionalism and casteism. So, this faction and caste-ridden nature of rural society will dominate the voting pattern of the people. The people will not be using of their power in a proper manner. It will be useless to decentralize the power because of the faction and caste-ridden nature of the rural society. And mainly because of these two reasons, our constitution makers had not given the constitutional status to these local bodies, and they were kept under the state government. Though there were many members in the Constituent Assembly, there were many members who wanted that the local government body should be given proper constitutional status, but it could not happen. And we find that in our constitution, the local bodies were given place under the state government. Okay, and what we find that after independence, there was some effort. There were some efforts regarding this, regarding making this local government bodies more effective and more powerful. And in this regard, the first effort was done in 1952 through Community Development Program. It was started by the central government, and the purpose was to develop the village through public participation, through people's participation. And this was, we cannot say that this was a great success. It was a success to some extent, but actually there was a lack of people's participation. And at that time, our government appointed Balwant Rai Mehta committee, and the committee was appointed in order to give recommendation regarding the what changes should be done in the local government bodies in India. And it was the opinion of that committee that this 3-tier Panchayati Raj institution should be adopted in India. But at that time it could not be adopted, though in Rajasthan it was adopted in the year 1959 itself. And in some other states also, like Maharashtra and Gujarat, these states also there was regular elections. Almost we can say the elections were quite regular, and the local bodies were working in a proper manner. But if we see the condition of the whole country, we find that these local bodies, their organization, their structure, their powers, their functions, everything was very irregular. They were not regularity, because the local bodies were under the state government, and the state government was free to make its own laws regarding the local bodies. So there was lack of regularity. There was no regular elections were uh, taking place for these local bodies. Many times what happened, that local bodies were dissolved, and this local government was handed over to government officers, कि ये जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिसर्स है उनको वो लोकल गवर्नमेंट के जो काम है, लोकल बॉडीज के जो काम है, वो उनको दे दिए जाते थे. तो एवरीथिंग वाज इरेगुलर. बहुत बार इन मेनी स्टेट्स देयर वाज इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस आल्सो, and many times what happened, that elections were postponed. So everything was irregular, and local bodies were not given any kind of proper place in our polity, in our governance. And then again in 1987, the government appointed a new committee, that was P.K. Thungan Committee. This P.K. Thungan Committee was appointed in 1989. It's 1989, because from 1987 it was thought that there's need of change in the structure, in the powers and functions of the local government. And keeping this in view, the government appointed this P.K. Thungan Committee in 1989, and the committee was of the opinion that there must be constitutional status must be given to the local bodies. Then only it will become, the local bodies will become effective, powerful. Then only there will be regular elections, and they will work efficiently, and there will be actual decentralization of power. So keeping in view all these recommendations, our central government introduced two constitutional amendments in the same year. In 1989 itself, the government introduced two constitutional amendments, and the purpose of these amendments was to make the local government strong, and there should be uniformity in the structure and powers and functions of these local bodies throughout the country. So whatever shortcomings was there before these amendments, those shortcomings were tried to be overcome through these amendments. That there should be uniformity, there should be given proper strength, so that they can do the function in a proper manner, and they can protect the local interest of the people. So in this way, these two amendments were started by the government, but actually these amendments could pass uh, both the houses in the year 1992 only, and they were 73rd and 74th amendment. So we will see that the 73rd and 74th amendment is regarding the these two amendments are regarding the rural local bodies and urban local bodies. 73rd amendment is for rural local bodies, and 74th amendment is for urban. That there was not a proper development of local government. And then what we see, that this local bodies were also given place in directive principles of state policy. And we have seen in chapter 2 also, this was also discussed, that directive principles of state policy are not legally enforceable. They have only moral authority. They don't have any kind of legal authority. So in this way we can say that our constitution makers have not given the proper place to local bodies in the constitution, and this was not without any reason. In fact, there was some reasons behind uh, this decision. And what was the reason why our constitution makers did not give a proper place to local bodies in the constitution? So we will discuss the reason. Reason is actually there are, we can say, two reasons for which these local bodies were not given constitutional status. And the first reason is as explained by पंडित नेहरू. पंडित नेहरू ने इसको explain किया है, और he is of the opinion that these local bodies can make India weak. These local bodies, if we give local bodies a constitutional status, then it may give rise to the disintegration of the country. Why this fear was there in the mind of our national leaders? Because of the circumstances which was prevailing at that time. We have witnessed partition, and with partition there was displacement of population, and with this displacement of population there was violence. So many people were killed, and the whole country was just witnessing all types of riots and killings and all these things. So the situation at that time was very bad. Not only the problem of partition, but there was problem of integration of princely states was also there. Because at that time we have 563, around 563, in some books there is written 565 also. So around 563 princely states were there, and these princely states needed to be integrated into India. So that was the biggest challenge the country was facing at that time when it became independent. So in this situation, it was the opinion of Pandit Nehru that India should not, our constitution should not give a constitutional status to local bodies, because it can disintegrate the country. So through these two amendments, we find that our local government bodies became very powerful, because before these amendments, the subject of local bodies were under the state government, and state government was making laws regarding these local bodies, and there was a lack of uniformity and regularity. But when through these amendments the constitutional status was given to the local bodies, then what happened that now the states cannot make laws on its own. Now the states have to bring all the changes, whatever was there in the 73rd and 74th amendment. It was compulsory for the states, it was mandatory for the states to bring all these changes. So we see that a lot of new developments take place with these amendments. And for the implementation of these two amendments, 1 year time was given to the states, so that they can, whatever changes were necessary for the implementation of the provisions of the amendment can be made by the state government. So the implementation of these two amendments began in the year 1993. And now after that we will see the first amendment, that was 73rd amendment. This 73rd amendment is regarding the rural local bodies, and these rural local bodies were called Panchayati Raj Institutions, PRI. So the 73rd amendment is about Panchayati Raj institutions, and it's about rural local bodies. In this regard, the most important feature of the 73rd amendment was the establishment of three-tier structure of पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन. ये जो पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन को स्टैब्लिश किया गया थ्रू the 73rd amendment, this panchayati raj institution was three tier. There was three level under this panchayati raj institution. And what was the three level? We will start from the bottom. At the bottom level, village was there, and at the village level there was gram panchayat, and after that village the second level is block level. This block level is known by different names like mandal or taluka. Okay, and at this level there is taluka panchayat. And in this regard, what is important for you to know, that if the size of the state is small, then there is no need of this second level. This second level will be there only when the size of the state is bigger. If the state is small in size, then there will not be this second level. Okay, and this is also called taluka panchayat, or this is also called mandal panchayat, या फिर इसको पंचायत समिति भी कहते हैं. ओके, सो विलेज लेवल पे ग्राम पंचायत, उसके ऊपर ब्लॉक लेवल इज मेड अप ऑफ विलेजेस. ओके, एंड वन मोर थिंग, विलेज अगर बहुत छोटे साइज का, इफ द विलेज इज ऑफ वेरी small size, then there will be 2 or more villages will be joined for a gram panchayat. Okay, अगर village की size बड़ी है तो ठीक है, for one village there will be one gram panchayat. But if the size of the village is small, then more than one villages will be joined to for the purpose of composition of this gram panchayat. Okay, so we have discussed up to the second level, and now the third level is district level. And what we find that this district level is, at this level there is Zila Panchayat. And in this three-tier structure which we are discussing, this three-tier structure, the district level, at the district level there is Jila Panchayat. This is at the apex, and village is at the bottom, and this block is at the intermediate level. Okay, and we see that there is also a provision for, it was a mandatory provision. What is the mandatory provision? Is that there must be creation of Gram Sabha. And what do we understand by Gram Sabha? Gram Sabha is the assembly of all the adult members of the village. Okay, all the adult members of the village are the members of the Gram Sabha, and it was the expectation of these amendments that the Gram Sabha will become very effective uh, in bringing the people's participation, in making the participation of the people real. So other points we will discuss in the next class. We have discussed the first and the most important feature of the 73rd amendment, that is three-tier structure of Panchayati Raj institution. Okay, so we will meet now tomorrow.